Hello and welcome to In Conversation with the Doctoral College. I'm Deborah Curiton, I'm the Research Development Manager at the University of Wolverhampton.
And I'm Dr Ben Halligan, I'm Director of the Doctoral College.
Today we're going to talk about microblogging, in particular Twitter, and the use of Twitter as an academic, as a postgraduate researcher, and how it can be useful. So Ben, you're our sort of online expert. What are your tips if you were advising postgraduate researchers or early career researchers about how to use Twitter effectively? What would you suggest they do?
I think the first thing one should do as a new postgraduate, but it can happen at any point, is to set up a Twitter account, which is free and takes a couple of minutes, and to link to every relevant personal body. And by that I mean whatever societies are in your disciplinary area, the name academics that are in your disciplinary area, other departments, research institutes, journalists that may be writing this particular thing, as well as maybe other postgraduates you may find at other universities researching similar things to you. And you can very quickly locate all of these, and it will make recommendations for further links, and you can link up to all of them. And then if you never do anything again on Twitter, if you never post anything about any observation, you've actually got a news feed of very live, very relevant information, stories, events, conference calls for paper, invitations to contribute to journals, all this kind of thing, talking points, that is entirely relevant to your research. So you can use Twitter to plug into the wider world, the wider discussion around your particular area. I think that's essential, and that way the research you do is highly contemporary. Because a few years down the line, when the examiners turn up and you have your viva, they'll want to know that this is a thesis that was written in 2019, 2021, not written in 2004, 5, 6, but it actually is aware of these contemporary issues, these contemporary debates, and Twitter will allow you that particular access. So it's really, I think, an essential thing for any postgraduate researcher.
So if you don't want to engage in putting information out there about yourself, you can use it as a way of collecting information and evidence.
You can take without having to give,
okay.
which you can't say about many things in life, but for Twitter that is very possible.
Okay, so would you advise that students have a professional Twitter account, and perhaps if they have one socially to separate those two?
I think it depends in a way. I mean, a lot of the enjoyment and character of Twitter, I think, comes from reading some esteemed professor complaining about, a late train, or how he's never going to eat in this restaurant again, or, that kind of thing. So I suppose that some of that can be quite enjoyable. But if you're maybe wanting to have a firmly professional face on Twitter, which is perhaps not a bad thing nowadays in terms of thinking about work and moving forward beyond the PhD, it may be smart to do as you say, which is to have one account that's about your particular hobbies and yourself and your friends, and then another which is simply about your research and who you are professionally, or mix the two, but I think there are two useful options there.
So what sort of information would you suggest those people who want to engage in talking about the work that they do on Twitter, what sort of things would be useful to talk about?
I think it's good to be part of a conversation.
Yeah.
To contribute positively to a discussion about a certain concern or problem or your position, or to share your experience because a problem shared is a problem halved, or to say, well, in my institution this is how it happens here. And in fact, you and I have had a number of postgraduate researchers who have come to us and have said, do you know what, in this other university they've done X, could you think about doing that for us as well? Yeah. So that's quite a good sharing of good practice. So I think any contribution allied to that kind of outcome is very useful.
I think when I started using Twitter, I was nervous about what I put out there. So I started very simply with doing what you suggested, which was kind of following all the names in the field, following all the journals that I would publish in, following the various societies who work within the area of research that I operate in. I then started, when I started to put things out there, they tended to be retweets. So I'd retweet calls for papers, calls for conference, or a paper that I'd seen that was really interesting, perhaps with a comment about, oh, this is a really interesting paper, I like this particular bit, or this is a great blog from such and such a person, and I started to add little comments about things I thought were interesting or added to the debate. So that, for me, that was a very simple and easy way of being able to engage in debate without putting myself out there too much before as I built my confidence. And it was only after then that I started to then tweet about things that I was doing. So then I started doing things like tweeting about conferences or presentations or keynotes that I was giving. Or pieces of research that we've done, or responding to people's observations about a particular situation with some feedback on pieces of research that we did, suggested that what you're saying is true, or suggested that this, because this adds to the argument that you're doing. And I try, not always successfully, to try and keep it quite professional. I have been known to tweet pictures of cats. I'm a mad cat lady. And I've also been known to tweet our Vice Chancellor and ask him if we can have a campus cat. But, on the whole, I try and keep it as professional as I possibly can.
I think that lends a human element to, even Downing Street has a Downing Street cat.
Oh, exactly.
As we know,
yes.
So that's a bit of character. I think some people spend their lives arguing on Twitter, don't they? And I think maybe those people need to get a life a bit. And I think, maybe the other interesting thing about Twitter, if you're doing that kind of thing, is that if you're at a conference and you take a picture of maybe a slide that's at a conference to have that with some comments about some microblogging type comments about how much I've enjoyed this person's presentation or how interesting it is, this, that and the other. Or if you're visiting an archive or in a library, a photo of that kind of thing. And that's actually quite a useful diary for you. And I think when you have the annual progress review, and people say, what have you done over the last 12 months? You can actually shoot back and go, oh right, I was at that conference and who was that person? I need to contact them. Okay, that was the name. It was on the photo. So in fact, it's a very good aid memoir of what you've been up to as well.
Hashtags are really interesting on Twitter, because a lot of conferences, you might not be able to go to the conference, but a lot of conferences will have a conference hashtag, and you can just follow that hashtag and have a look at what people are saying, what pictures people are posting, what tweets people are saying. And there are people who will live tweet various talks, keynotes, various papers that are being delivered. So you get an experience. And also there are conferences where people will live stream on Twitter from those conferences. So you might see, sort of a little bit behind the scenes from the conference. And I know we tried to do that with the annual research conference. Not quite as successfully or as professionally as perhaps other people do, because there was a lot of me pointing at the camera as I was trying to get the screen to turn around so that I could film other people. But you can engage within a community from a distance sometimes using hashtags.
Gosh, absolutely. So I think there's a huge amount you can gain from Twitter.
Yeah.
It's free. It takes a couple of minutes. It doesn't, unlike a lot of social media, I don't think it intrudes much into your life.
Yeah.
And I think, as I say, if you're a new postgraduate researcher, it's really the first thing to do.
And I would add to that, follow us on Twitter.
And follow us on Twitter. What's our Twitter address?
Handle, hashtag, whatever you call it. We are at WLV_doctoral col with 1 L.
Okay.
So follow us. Let us know that you're a postgraduate researcher with us. We'll follow you back. And if ever you've got anything that you want to say or you'd like us to retweet to the community, tag us in and we will retweet.
Fantastic.
Okay. So thank you very much for listening. Please do, if you haven't already, follow us, and you'll get updates whenever we release a new vlog. We release vlogs every Friday, and if you've got any suggestions for vlogs, please do post underneath and say what you'd like us to vlog about. Okay, so bye.
See you next time.
Bye.